Hello guys, welcome to BTech Spark. Now in this video I'll explain you unsupervised machine learning by taking a real-time example. We know that water tanker cost that may vary with respect to temperature and based on the season. Let's consider the temperature. So based on temperature, how the water tanker cost is varying, and let's make it into clusters. That means let's divide this cost based on temperature into multiple clusters. At what cost to what cost? So what is the temperature? That means at what temperature to what temperature, the cost will be in between what cost to what cost. So like that we are clustering our data. So for that, what we are doing is we are taking this sample data and we are clustering this sample data using K-means algorithm. Then after, I will also show you how to visualize that clustered data using Seaborn and MAtplotlib. So let's first take this data set, and now after that I'll print the data frame as well. How the data frame will be. Now you can see our data set got loaded. Yeah. So in our df, that is a df variable, that is data frame. Now before doing clustering of my data, so first let's see or let's visualize the data by using Seaborn. I want to check the linearity between my temperature and ice cream. Now by using Seaborn, let's do regression plot for this data with respect to temperature as well as this water tanker cost in order to visualize that data. For that, first we need to import the Seaborn. In order to use the Seaborn, now I'm importing Seaborn as SNS, and by using that SNS, it contains a regression plot, and there we need to specify x value. That means based on what, in between what and what we are comparing. X value I'm taking it as a temperature in Celsius, and Y value I'm taking as this water tanker cost in INR, that means rupees, Indian rupees, and I'm taking the data as my data frame. In this data frame, take X value as this temperature in Celsius and Y value as water tanker cost in Indian rupees. You can see this is how the regression plot will look like with respect to temperature and water tank. So at this temperature, at this point, this is the water cost. At this point, this is the water cost. At this point, this is the water cost. So like this, in this way, the temperature versus cost. Now I want to visualize this water tanker cost in a deep. That is, I want to visualize at what cost. Let's say at what cost I want to see the water tanker is buyed most. That I want to check using Seaborn. At what cost the tankers got buyed mostly. Let's visualize it using Seaborn disk plot. I'm providing the Seaborn disk plot and data frame. I'm providing the column name, that is a water tank related cost. In this column, actually that cost will be there. So now you can see, you can observe at what cost, what count of that many tankers happened. You can see at 600 cost, most of the tankers got buyed. After that, 800 cost, two got buyed. That means after this is the max, and after this, you can see these both are having same. Like at 600, mostly bought, and 800 and 1600 mostly bought the tankers, and these all You can see 1000, 1200, and 1400 having the same ratio of buying the water tanker. Now I visualized my data and I understood how my data was. Now what I'm expecting is I want to cluster it. I want to divide my data into different clusters. Let's say three clusters I want to divide my data. For that, I'm expecting to use K-means algorithm. So where this K-means algorithm is there, sir? This K-means algorithm is present in scikit-learn dot cluster. From there, I'm importing this K-means and I'm creating a KNN, that is a K K-means cluster. Let's say this is what my algorithm, right? Yeah. So clustering algorithm now I'm creating, or ML model I am creating. So let's take it as a model one, and so by using this k-means, we can able to create it simply like this. And we need to specify like number of clusters we want. That definitely we need to specify. Like it doesn't know right how many clusters it need to create. So that's why we need to specify number of clusters. I want to divide my data into three clusters. So that's why I mentioned number of clusters as three. Now I'm using this model one dot fit method in order to train my k-means algorithm by using my data frame. What is my data frame? DF, right? Yes, I'm using that DF here. You can see my model got trained successfully. Now I want to see the centroids. You can say I want to visualize my data first, or since I'm asking it to divide my data into three clusters, right? Yes. So based on centroids, it will divide, or based on centers, this k-means algorithm will divide our data into three clusters. Now I'm expecting to see what are the centers, based on what centers is divided into three clusters. In order to see that cluster related centers, I want to use this model one dot. For this model only I have fit my data. So in this model our data got fit successfully, and I'm using the cluster centers. You can see that option is there. Now I'm just clicking on enter to see based on what centers, cluster centers, our data got clustered. You can see these are the three centers. Based on these three centers our data got clustered. And I want to see like in my data frame I have multiple data points, right? Yes. So for each data point, so to what cluster it was labeled, I want to see that as well. To see, we can use labels method, model one dot labels. So you can see this is how, like first four will be divided into one cluster, next three will be divided into one cluster, and next three will be divided into one cluster. Now what I'm expecting is, so here you can see in this data format, I cannot able to visualize this data clearly. For that, in order to visualize this data in a understandable graph format, I want to import matplotlib. Using matplotlib library, you can use scatterplots and plot method to plot the data, and you can able to visualize it. So in order to use that, I first need to import matplotlib dot pyplot as plt. I'm importing this matplotlib related pyplot as plt, and I'm using that plt and accessing this scatter method, and I want to plot my data which is present in my data frame. In order to access the data present in your data frame, just need to provide data frame dot values of, so first I want to get the values of this column. To get the values of this column, you just need to use a syntax like all values at zeroth column. And then so this is related to x field, and related to y field also I need to provide. For y field I want to take this water tanker cost. So for that, data frame dot values of all values which are present in first column. So let's run this so that you can see the data got plotted. And I want to plot this based on my labels. You can see I got the labels, right? Yes. Based on that, I want to plot. So that's why I'm providing C is equals to model 1 dot labels. Now based on labels, it got plotted. So this is got labeled into one set and this is got labeled into another set. This got labeled into another set. After that, let's say I want to print the centroids as well. To print the centroid, you can use the same method, and to access the centroids using model 1 cluster centers. Through that, you can able to access the centroids of zeroth column related values, as well as you can also access the centroids of your cluster for the first column as well. And based on x and y, I'm accessing the centroids. So let's print it. Yeah, you can see I'm getting the centroids, but they are in a blue color. So I cannot able to understood what is my data or what is my centroid clearly. So let's color it to red and visualize it. As you can see, this is the centroid for this data, and for yellow dots, this is the centroid, and for these dots, this is the centroid. So let's make it a bit large by providing the size of it. I'm providing 1,100 as size. Let's say I want large centroids. Yeah. So this is the data, or you can say this is the cluster 1 related centroid, and this is the cluster 2 related centroid. This is cluster 3 and its centroid. So wow, we visualized three clusters. Now I want to see what is the loss if I divide my data into three clusters. In order to see the loss, you can use the model 1 dot inertia inertia to get the loss. You can see this is the loss. So whenever you are dividing your data into three clusters, I don't know like how many clusters I need to divide, and so if I divide these many clusters, then what is the loss? So in order to visualize that data based on number of clusters, since I am expecting to calculate or visualize the loss, I'm using or you can say let's visualize the loss based on number of clusters. So for that, let's see like how many data points we have. We have only 10 data points. So I want to visualize the loss from, if I take one cluster, so what is the loss? Two clusters, what is the loss? So like that, I want to visualize from 1 to 5 clusters. Based on that visualization, we can able to further like in future how many clusters we need to divide, that we can able to identify. So first I need to get like 1 to 5 values. To get that, I'm using this for loop. 1 to 5 I'm required, so 1 to 6 I'm printing. This will get me the data like 1 to 5 for each iteration. And now what I'm expecting to do is I want to design a model. I want to design my model 1 based on, by using K-means cluster. I want to design my model with number of clusters as what is the current iteration. Like for the first time, 1 as my number of clusters. For the second iteration, 2 as my number of clusters. So I'm providing I here. Then after getting the model, we need to train our model, right? For that, I'm using this fit method and providing this data frame. Then I need to get the loss, right? Yes. So to get the loss, we need to use this model 1 dot inertia. this inertia method to get the loss. So this is the current loss. And at the end, I want to store all these losses in a variable to visualize. So I'm taking a list, losses list, loss as a variable to store the list of losses. And I'm appending each and every time this current loss, and at the end, so I'll plot this losses. So before plotting, I want to see the losses list. You can say I got the losses list. Then I want to plot this using a matplotlib.pyplot. So using a plot method, I want to plot this loss. Let's understood this, or you can say let's provide the labels as well, like what is the X label and what is the Y label. So let's provide the Y label. What is the Y label? That's nothing but the loss. And what is the X label? That's nothing but a number of clusters. And let's make it better by providing some title as well. Loss based on number of clusters. And let's type this plot dot show method in order to show this. Yeah, you can see. So these are the losses and these are the number of clusters. If my number of clusters are 1, so this is the loss. You can see this is the loss. And if my number of clusters are 0, this is the loss. And if my number of clusters are 2, you can see this is the loss. Number of clusters are 3, this is the loss. Yeah, 4, this is the loss. So like this, it got printed based on loss versus number of clusters. From this, what we can able to observe, so if number of clusters are going on increasing, the loss is getting reducing, right? Yes. So based on these laws, we can able to identify like how many clusters I need to divide to minimize the loss. So if I recap what we have learned in this video, so we have learned unsupervised machine learning using clustering the sample data using K-means algorithm, and we visualized the data using Seaborn and MAtplotlib as well. For that we have taken this water tanker cost as a sample data, and we visualized the data using a regression plot how the data was, and we even further visualized the data related to tanker cost. Whenever the tanker cost is what, then how the buying was, so that we visualized, and then we clustered the data using k-means algorithm. We first make it into 3 clusters, and we trained our model, that is k-means model. Then our model will divided the data into 3 clusters as we mentioned, and we have visualized what are the centroids of our data. You can say cluster centers of our data. Then we even identified based on labels how our database was clustered. Like this first data point is clustered into what label, and this data point got clustered into what label. You can say the last data point is this, and that is clustered into what label. So those data we understood, and we visualized that data. Since this mathematical format is not so good for me, I just visualized the data using a matplotlib. You can see using scatterplots, we visualized the data from here to here, one cluster, from here to here, one cluster, from here to here, one cluster. I want to visualize the data with centroids as well. So you can say cluster centers as well. So that's why we added these cluster centers. Then after we have seen if we take number of clusters equals to 3, what is the loss? Based on number of clusters, since we are expecting to visualize what is the loss that is happening, For that, we trained our model each and every time based on number of clusters, and we find the loss individually, and at last we printed the losses. These are the losses when we take number of clusters equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we visualized that plot as well by using a pipe plot by using matplotlib library. You can see loss versus number of clusters we understood. As number of clusters increases, what happens to the loss? It's getting decreasing. So that we understood. So I hope this video is useful. From this video, you understood the clustering of the data and visually understanding how the data got clustered, what data points got clustered into what, and you also understood based on number of clusters, what number of clusters I need to take to minimize the loss through visually. And this is all about unsupervised machine learning of clustering your data using K-means clusters and visualizing the data using Seaborn and MAtplotlib. If you feel this video is useful, then please like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get the latest updates. Thanks for watching. Again, see you back in the next video with another interesting topic. Until then, bye bye, guys.